1, 2, 3, 4, let's go.
It's Heartbeat.
It's a fabulous show.
Alaska.
Hi, Heartbeat Alaska.
It's Heartbeat. Alaska.
Pull up a chair and enjoy the show.
Hear it from Sitka to Barrow. Gather around for Jeannie's show. It's the Aleut, the Indian, and the Eskimo. It's the Aleut, the Indian, and the Eskimo.
Welcome one, welcome all.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Heartbeat Alaska. Native News and Information, I'm Jeannie Green. Every week in Heartbeat Alaska, we travel to remote villages throughout the state and share the lives of the people there. And today, we travel to the northwest village of Unalakleet. For what? For a science fair. I'll be back with Unalakleet and lots of fun right after this.
Heartbeat Alaska is made possible by Koutchek Carlisle Transportation, your full-service transportation and logistics company.
Heartbeat Alaska is also brought to you by Frontier Flying Service. Thank you, Frontier, for getting Heartbeat Alaska airborne.
And thank you, Alaska Commercial Company, for your support.
What's up, bro?
Hey, man. You got an extra smoke?
Nah, I quit smoking.
Seriously? Wow. Cool four-wheeler. Now, how can you afford that, man?
I told you, I quit smoking.
Tobacco isn't just robbing you of your good health. What could you do with all that money that's now going up in smoke? Call the Quit line now, 1-888-842-QUIT. Oh yeah, it's free.
I'm waiting because I don't want to get a disease.
I have a future ahead of me, and I don't want to mess up my life.
If my husband asks me if he's the first, I want to say yes.
Yes. Because I respect myself. I have so much going for me. A child would only slow me down.
I'm trying to break a cycle.
Sex is a very special thing I only want to share with one person.
There are too many consequences, STDs.
The union between two people.
I would always regret it.
I'm protecting my heart.
Waiting doesn't make you less of a man.
I'm waiting because it's the most precious gift I can give.
These days, science seems to be on everyone's minds with major important issues such as global warming. Issues like, how far can you launch a potato? Or how does a volcano work? The students in Unalakleet, Alaska have the answers. Unalakleet, Alaska sits on a gravelly spit at the end of a river sharing the town's name. People in the area fish, hunt, trap, and smoke their food in much the same way other villages in Alaska do. They also had an especially abundant herd of caribou nearby for many years. The herd recently moved out of the village's hunting lands, but that's all right. There's plenty else to live off in the area, not to mention the convenience of air-mailed food and beverages.
This is the igloo. Used to be have games in it and movies and stuff was down there, and they moved it up. This is the old native store.
With a population that hovers around 750, people here share each other's concerns, hopes, and stories.
Right here, battered halibut that we're gonna have for dinner, along with a salad and some rice and maybe some asparagus.
Of course, the population is growing here just like everywhere else. Longtime residents are in a good position to notice the influx of people. They remember the way things have changed through the years and the stories of past generations.
Well, my name is Ellsworth Haugen, and I've been here in Unalakleet for 49 years of last August. And that's the Unalakleet Corporation 8-plex. There was nothing in this area when I came in.
I'm one of the elders. I'm going on 76 years old, and I lived here most of my life. The first missionaries came here back in 1898. That was actually Carlson. He came from Chicago area and was the first missionary to come to Unalakleet. According to my brother-in-law, Zack Katchatag, that when actually Carlson first came here, he was surrounded by the people and want to know what's he doing here. And they all talked Eskimo at that time. And he was saved by this one of our elders' name is old man Sherlock. He invited him to be in his house to stay away, you know, because there were a lot of people going after the missionary. He thought they might be, you know, putting him away for good.
Nowadays, cultures and religions here have reconciled. People have adopted updated methods of subsistence, and life has settled into the rhythm of this area.
What's Bobby's mom's name? Mary?
The ways of days past are still seen in the dog races and subsistence gathering, and people reminisce about storms that washed out the streets years ago.
Well, we've had a lot of storms in the summer where it washed out the seawall and high water come up. And there's a house over here where I'll show you how far the water had come up. This is Assembly of God Church.
Modern times have insinuated their footprint on the village's path, however. Snow machines, or snow-goes, as those in the know call them, have become the vehicle of choice nowadays, replacing dog sledding as everyday transport. There's even a restaurant in town, Peace on Earth, that the Hanson family runs when they're not cooking up culinary masterpieces at home.
Yeah, sometimes I practice at home for stuff that I'm going to cook next door. That's where I started pizza. Started pizza at home, so I knew I could do it whenever I started the restaurant.
Jonathan? Salad? Yes? No?
The restaurant's pizza delivery comes in handy, especially to basketball players after rough home games against rivals like Point Hope. Basketball is a large part of life in rural Alaska, and Unalakleet's high school team is one of the best in its league. Everybody who's anybody shows up for home games, packing the stands with cheers for the players. This past winter, however, for a few hours, coaches, pom-poms, and basketball jerseys yielded the gymnasium to a different event.
Here we have mostly east winds, and so it was responsible for east.
The Science Fair.
How did it turn out? Did you get any crystals on that one?
No, we're getting...
You gonna lift it up so I can see?
Yeah, see, it's just like a syrup.
Well, the Pod 4 science teacher and I coordinated the event, the Science Fair today, for all of our students. So all of the 7th through 12th graders were participating in the Science Fair. So in my classes with the junior high students, basically for the last 4 weeks, I've kind of guided them through step by step the scientific process in order to come up with a culminating project for the Science Fair today.
My name is Zack Katchatag. I'm 8th grade. We did a volcano to test the effects of different amount of baking soda on height of eruption.
I was trying to see how exhaust affects how fast the plant grows. Some of these leaves on the exhaust plant died, like at the bottom, and most of these are alive at the top from the exhaust plant.
In a bid to get kids interested in environmental issues and the future of their own village, the World Wildlife Fund agreed to help sponsor the science fair.
We had some local people. In fact, there were some elders that was involved in this. We had some council members from our native village of Unalakleet. They were part of it.
Henry Oyoumick coordinated this agreement through a contact in Norway, adding to a global warming awareness initiative the Wildlife Fund is promoting. He thinks that getting kids interested in protecting their natural surroundings is essential, and it doesn't hurt if they work in their future careers at the same time.
My main goal is to give the kids an opportunity to be competitive once they leave school. You know, that's really essential for our students, you know, coming from a small school in rural Alaska, and to let them see what the outside possibilities would be, and then coming back to a small community to hopefully work and help their own people.
People would always talk about how exhaust affects global warming, and I just wanted to kind of find out my own answers, and like, cause I don't know, like, so I would know really how it affects it.
My name is Michelle Kaverluk, and I am doing how saltwater affects global warming.
When I saw one project, she was looking at, one of her variables was the temperature of water, in salt water, what she was using.
I did 2 experiments on regular water and 2 experiments on salt water, and I hypothesized that the more salt water you have, the higher the temperature will rise, and the less salt water you have, the lower the temperature will go.
I thought that was, you know, when you look at even a small amount of temperature rising in the ocean, it can cause disastrous effects on some of the marine species out there.
The light bulb represents the sun, and I measured it 15 centimeters from the surface of the water to the tip of the light bulb.
It was interesting to see the profound difference, you know, with temperature.
And these thermometers represent how high the temperature rises. So I put one on the bottom and one towards the top of the surface. And I did one experiment with saturated salt water and one with just fresh water, regular water.
And so learning concepts like that, I think, was very effective.
My hypothesis for my experiment was not very clear. But as I looked over my data, it turned out that salt water affects global warming because it is a lot thicker and stores more light than fresh water. This proved my hypothesis to be right.
I think at this age, in the junior high level, I think it's just important to engage them in science and get them excited about it. And I think that this served its purpose in doing that. And they'll be buckling down to more difficult levels of science in years to come. But I think for them at this, you know, junior high level, being able to have a little bit of playtime and learning, you know, the process along the way was a good experience.
Although the official slant of this science fair was global warming, the students weren't limited to a global warming in their subject matter. Everything from stinkweed to energy drinks was investigated, and displays range from plain to extravagant. With so many variables, judging something like this can be quite the challenge.
There's 4 rows of projects. The Pod 3 projects have got orange tags up in the corners, and they've already been judged by a panel this morning. So we're going to focus on the high school area, and they're going to be on the 2 rows closest to this row. They're going to have some green entry numbers.
Start from the top and brief me on your project.
You guys can work in pairs, or you can work alone. and each one of your ballots counts for an evaluation.
We made a hypothesis, and we believe the crystals will get bigger, because the hotter the water, the bigger the crystals.
Some of our questions are similar because we started off together and then we split and then we just started back again. So we combined them.
Oh, I see.
Based on what you see, put them in another order from the first project to the third. Your top 3 choices.
Okay, thanks, girls.
Thank you.
I've been looking at how the students present themselves and also the content that they have behind the scenes, not necessarily how perfect it was set up, but what they really did to accomplish what they were doing. And I realized that some of the ones that might not have looked too professional were actually really interesting, and they had really thought it out, compared to some of the ones that looked really good and had, you know, good presentation. Some of them, the content maybe wasn't quite so good. So I'm trying to kind of evaluate everything.
It was actually quite exciting to see students really latching onto something that they're interested in, or even taking something that they're interested in and making an experiment out of it, you know, because I had these criteria. Well, it has to be an experiment. It has to be an experiment. It has to have, you know, we have to be testing something.
There's a lot of wires in here, and it spins, and the little axle right here will spin, and it'll cause it to spin and the fan will move.
You know, variables have to be controlled. And so, well, I love remote control cars. How am I going to make that an experiment? And they, you know, they found a way to work that into something that they're more or less passionate about.
See?
So what's it made out of?
It's
Legos,
fan,
9-volt battery, a motor, and a homemade fan.
So that was pretty fun to see some of the creative ideas that they came up with to incorporate something that they really wanted to do.
Oh. That doesn't usually happen.
Because the school district is based on pods instead of traditional grade levels, students are required to pass a set of standards in order to progress towards graduation. One of those standards was this science fair. It was mandatory for every student, but that didn't take the fun out of it.
And maybe the follicles from the hair and
are bigger and smaller.
Yeah.
Did you make sure that some didn't
And we were making sure that they had no gum ups.
I think they were pretty excited for it because they had been, you know, kind of hinting all year, when are we going to be able to, you know, do our own projects? Because the experiments we had done previously was something that I had guided them through, and it would be something that we did together as a class. But in this case, I said, hey, what are your interests? And then we went from there.
3, 2, 1.
Safety goggles on. Compress. Whoa. Whoa. 3, 2, 1.
My name's Cameron Gray. I'm doing a potato gun. I had a potato in the front, and this thing wasn't sparking, so I took off the back cap, and I looked in there. It wasn't sparking, so I stuck my hand in there, bent the wire a little bit, and then I sparked it 2 more times, and then all of a sudden I looked in there again, and the flame just came out the back, and I lost part of my eyebrow and my forehead hairs.
Yeah, Bobby burned his eyebrow off, and it was a project that I was pretty hesitant about, just potato gun, but actually only half an eyebrow.
My eyes were burning and my eyelashes were gone, and all my friends were laughing at me.
An unfortunate misfire for the experiment, but it was only part of the scientific process for this team. Although they had their setbacks, they eventually ended up successfully launching a potato 82 feet. Sometimes the greatest innovations come from testing different materials or fuels.
We had our hypothesis that propane was going to go the farthest. I knew it was already going to go the farthest because it's more flammable than Axe.
Axe?
Yeah, Axe body spray. It was pretty messed up. I But then I had the idea with brake fluid, but it wasn't supposed to be a part of an experiment, and that's what blew off my eyebrow and forehead.
Which part
this one, and how different they are, and then my forehead. Just lost my eyelashes and everything.
So you're gonna think twice about sticking your face in science experiments now?
Yep, and wear goggles next time. Kind of sucked.
Some of the heaviest smokers in Alaska are children. Of course, the smoke they inhale is from someone else's cigarette. Smoke a pack a day at home, your kid inhales 50 packs a year. Never forget, secondhand smoke is a first-rate killer.
Dad, Mom, I want you to be proud of me. Tell me what you expect when it comes to sex.
When it comes to sex, I need you to talk seriously with me, but I also need you to listen to me. I need you to help me with the words I need to say no.
No. I need an out.
There is just no way I can make you really understand how often sex comes up.
How much pressure is there. It's constant.
It's constant.
It's constant.
And most of all, you need to know that the pressure's on me already.
I ended up coming around to the boys down here at the end with their little volcano, and once I started talking to them, which it's really actually an attractive one too because it attracts your attention, volcano always would. But as I started talking to them, I realized how much effort they put into they made everything out of something.
We would put our baking soda in here, and then we would put the string through here. We would grab the string.
Like they used a pop bottle and they made their salt and flour volcano, and they made all these things by themselves.
We would pull it tight so that it doesn't, then we would put a cap with a hole on top so that it'll keep the material from going over the cap instead of not erupting.
And they knew what they were doing, and they had their measurements, and everything was really well thought out.
We would put it in, stick it through the top.
And at first, you might not think it, but they had really done what I thought was a great job of doing the data and actually ending up with the results that they were looking for from the beginning.
We would pour it in real quick, put it, take it away, and then we'd let it erupt. And then we'd measure how high it goes.
Some of the projects, they started out looking for one result, and sometimes through the course of the event and their experimentation, the data that they ended up collecting would actually answer a different question than what they started out with as their original hypothesis.
Trying to figure out how to make it release at the right time.
The name of the project is The Physics of Shooting a Basketball, and the aim is to measure all the force, angles, and the distance of the ball to make a perfect shot every time. And the way to measure it is to build a trebuchet, and that's that one right there.
Some of them were real, almost like textbook examples of a science fair project. I know this step, this step, this step. Some of them were had a more creative bent to them, where they were doing problem solving.
It has to be 90 degrees parallel to the floor.
But either way, everybody came across some types of obstacles where there was always an obstacle where they'd have to work their way through. Another large part of the science fair experiment was I paired up with the writing teacher and to meet some of their writing standards and research paper. So they did an incredible amount of background research, produced a research paper, with their bibliography and everything. I think for some of them it was their first research paper they've ever written, and that was related to their science fair project.
13% of the leaves on the exhaust plant died, and only 4% of the leaves on the airplanes died.
What do you think that means?
I think that means that the exhaust kind of helps kill the plants.
So when you guys were talking about weather, did you guys include all the variables like the weather, the wind?
Yeah, the wind direction we took right here.
Uh-huh.
When the parents came and then reviewed, some of them asked me which one was my favorite. It's really hard for me to see favorites, but I thought it was pretty neat to see students connect with their excitements to learn and make a connection with school function.
Now, did you have fun doing this project?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. We were always playing, boiling, taking pictures.
Hanging wire hair. These are beautiful presentations.
So, now that the displays have been taken down and put away, what will these kids take home with them? There's a discovery that people dream more when they're happy and more relaxed. And we know it's not a good idea to ignite brake fluid inside a 3-inch PVC tube. And the debate rages on whether lighter hair or darker hair is stronger.
88 grams was dark hair, so it turned out that lighter hair is stronger than darker hair. But if
Who knows? One of these kids may someday describe the true nature of quantum energy or discover the cure for cancer. Maybe design a better mousetrap.
You think you have the release point figured out?
Almost. We put too much duct tape on it.
For now, though, let's let them have their fun.
3, 2, 1.
Thank you, everyone, for your help in this story, and thank you so very much, Henry Oyoumick, and congratulations to Jenny Dill and to Brittany Johnson. They were the contestants that won first place in Unalakleet, then went on to more competition in Golovin, Alaska, and competed in Anchorage, Alaska. They won first place in Unalakleet for what? Well, they compared 409 to Lysol to find out which cleaned best. Which one did? More on that next week. God bless you all. We'll see you again next week.
Different homes of Jane Ivanoff and another Ivanoff, and then Richard Ivanoff's homes over here.
There's a lot of Ivanoffs.
Yep, and Haru Ivanoff. Back up in there, some more Ivanoff. Up in there, Koutchek.
You're from South Dakota. Was it another kind of like small town like this, or was it?
No, I was a country boy. Worked on a farm and worked for truck, driving livestock, Coleman's.
So, have you ever lived in a big city?
No, I'm not no city slicker. I love it here. Nobody steps on my toes. That's the AC store. The lodge. I think we can go through